Yeah, good morning, everyone. I think, first of all, let me thank the organizers for inviting me here today. But before I start, I just wanted to know as to how many of you know of this organization called CRIS. Amazing. Actually, any show of hands? Hardly around 4 out of 150. I think that is surprising. And if I next ask you a question as to how many of you know about Indian Railways? Yeah, 100%. So Indian Railways needs no introduction. I think we all know it's the fourth largest system. It transports almost 22 million passengers every day. We carry freight of almost 4.5 million tons originating. And we do all this with almost around 60,000 coaches, around 3.5 lakh freight cars, over a length of around 1,50,000 track kilometers, and with an employee base of nothing less than 1.2 million, and of course 1.6 million pensioners. So now CRIS is, it's pretty surprising that 4 out of 150, must be around 3% of you only know about CRIS. We are an organization which is the sole IT arm of the Indian Railways. CRIS has been in existence for almost 4 decades. It has been with the mandate that it should design, develop, deploy, maintain the entire IT applications for Indian Railways. The first 2 decades were mostly about the 2 ticketing applications on the passenger reservation system and later the unreserved. And the last 2 decades, there is no function in the railway which is not digitized. In fact, I can confidently tell you that amongst any organizations of the government, there cannot be any other organization which fully digitized in all its functions. And we look at our IT applications from different categories like any other organization. We look at from all the business applications, the operations applications, the asset management. For us, asset management comes into the track, signal, traction, coach, wagon, locomotive, the entire asset cycle management from induction, repair and maintenance cycles through to the condemnation. And of course, the capacity expansion and development, finance, HR and procurement. We almost earn 3.5 lakh crore and spend almost 3.2 lakh crore. And our entire transaction is on 100% digitization. So this is an arm, IT arm of Indian Railways. In fact, your ticketing system handles almost, around 30,000 users peak per minute, especially during Tatkal. So it has been a continuous upgradation in the journey for the last 40 years, even your ticketing system. You look at when we started with 4 regional PRS data centers at Chennai, Mumbai, Calcutta, totally disconnected. Tickets could be taken only from a region within a region. Then we started full redundant networking with full-fledged networking of all the data centers. Anywhere to anywhere, ticketing started. Somewhere around 2000, we started internet web inquiry. Then on top of that came PNR inquiries. And then later, we went into full-fledged web ticketing, and 2014 onwards, we have been on a total internet base. So it has been quite a journey. So CRIS as an organization, we are structured with around 1,300 employees. We do not have an L&T, Wipro, TCS, anyone working for us. We do our own application development, which is for Indian Railways and sole arm. So we have been very good at software development. In terms of managing, as I mentioned, the entire design, development, maintenance, and deployment of the applications. But now, and of course, Railway has been running on the applications of CRIS for many years, many decades, and it will continue to run for many more decades. But the last 4-5 years, with this AI coming in, we have always focused as an organization of Indian Railways in terms of what we want from our IT applications. One is to run our day-to-day operations. The second, it should assist us in meeting our medium and long-term planning requirements. So when AI came, we just didn't budge from that goal, in terms of taking what, in all these 8 categories of applications which serve the Indian Railways, there are certain KPIs for us as far as Indian Railway requires. For example, on the business applications of passenger reservation, freight operations, it is all about growth, market share, and service levels. And when we talk about service levels, various dimensions. Railway has a very structured way of looking at how it caters its application, not only from the development, but what data can do to cater to these KPIs. So in operational efficiency, it is about how do you use the same assets and bring the better application in terms of, just tell me when I'm 2 minutes short of 10 minutes. Yeah. Then, yeah, so basically there are KPIs. So when AI came in, we also wanted to exactly see as to what AI can do in each of these KPIs. So we defined the use cases. For example, on the passenger reservation, if any of you are using Rail 1 application, you will find that there is a waitlist prediction. That was simple ML. We had 10 years data. It's a very simple thing to do. And it, as the opening speaker mentioned, it doesn't require any large-scale AI. It is simple traditional machine learning. Then we did something called crowd management at stations, which at any point of time we are able to tell you as to how many passengers are going to board and deboard, both reserved and unreserved. Reserved is not a problem because there's already a train fixed, and we have a national train enquiry system, which again is a CRIS mandate. Mapping this, we can find out how many reserved passengers board and deboard at every platform, at every station. Unreserved was a problem, so we did a bit of an estimation in terms because we don't have the train fixed there. Then came our applications of, say for freight. You know, I mean, we took the entire GST data. One of the KPIs is to improve the freight market share. GST, after masking all the fields, they gave us from pin code to pin code, HSN code, commodity, and the mode of transport and the value. Doing a simple BI was not a problem. So what we did here was we were very clear as to what skills we have as an organization, what we don't have. So we collaborated with IIT Delhi and gave them one of the 5 most toughest problems for them to solve by entering into an MOU. And they have been working with us for the last 24 hours, wherein using this GST data, they're able to tell us as to using clustering and all where aggregation centers can come. Similarly, on the controller side, you know, I mean, wherever the brain or the section controller, similar to what air traffic control does to airlines, railway runs based on control organizations. So all the factors where the brain goes, what should I do with my locomotive once a freight train reaches a destination, when the freight train would be released, where should the MT be taken for the next demand, where will I get my locomotive from, when should I start my train. All these are now being done. Simultaneously, we equipped ourselves. Around 350 of my engineers have been trained in IIT for almost 60 hours in different areas of AI, ML, cybersecurity, computer vision, basic OR, large-scale optimization. And I can clearly say over the last 3 years, we built up the capabilities that are required, and we are handling almost around 36 use cases in different functions. Again came the platform. What platform do we use? One is, because India doesn't have its indigenous platforms, so we procured a platform using Databricks as a DL MLOps platform and Microsoft Azure. Issues of security were addressed through a very strict control of how the data travels. We used our own keys, both when the model is being trained as well as when the model is being taken out as well. So what we followed was, once the model is ready, we take it out, put it on an in-premise cloud, and then deploy it in production, and then thereafter, whenever required, we take it back. So the last aspect is perhaps on the security front. On the security, I mean, one is all our applications. We have around 253 applications which we run for Indian Railways. We have subjected our passenger reservation system, our core operation systems to CERTIN. CERTIN is a government organization in the cybersecurity and the Ministry of Electronics, wherein using all the latest AI LLMs, using Mythos, they keep giving us reports as to how we address. And yeah, so I think we are more or less trying to cover the basis in terms of how to leverage on AI. And I'm sure in the coming days, we will be even better in terms of taking and making in terms of delivering on the KPIs which the railway expects of us in various areas. Thank you very much.